Oh man, the bad news keeps on rolling in for Joe Biden. And honestly, I have to say, this is probably the most devastating poll I've seen yet in this election cycle. Look at this. Nikki Haley absolutely wrecks Biden in a head-to-head by 17 points. 17 points. Trump is up by 4 points in the same poll. Holy shit. Now, look, I'm familiar with all the reactions to this, right? I'm familiar with all the arguments on the other side of it. Oh, it's still a while out from the election. Yeah, Biden's down, but so was Obama at this point in 2012. And he can make a comeback. Look how extreme the Republicans are. Look at how the special elections went where Democrats did better than expected, so on and so forth. Understood on all that. Now, some of those are not necessarily true. Obama was way higher than Biden is now. Biden's at least 5 points below Obama, even though Obama was not doing all that well at this point before his election in 2012. But guys, 17 points to Nikki Haley. She has the personality of watching paint dry, and she's one of the biggest war hawks in the country. And Biden's getting walloped, just straight up dog walked by her. So here's what they say in Mediaite. The odds may still be stacked against her in the Republican primary, but should former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley capture the nomination, a stunning new poll suggests the general election would be a cakewalk for her. According to a new poll from the Wall Street Journal on Saturday, Haley, in a hypothetical one-on-one matchup with Joe Biden, currently has a remarkable 17-point lead, 51-34. Should the matchup materialize and the margin hold, it would represent the largest winning general election margin since 1984. I think that's when Reagan absolutely trounced the Democrat. Yeah, Reagan topped Walter Mondale by 18 points. Of course, in order for that matchup to happen, Haley would have to beat former President Donald Trump in the Republican primary, and the most recent polls still show her trailing in that contest by 40 points or more. I feel like I say this every election cycle, but without a doubt, it's true this election cycle. It was probably true last election cycle, too. Craziest election cycle I've ever seen in my entire life. It was true of 2016 at the time, then it was true of 2020 at the time, and now it's true of what's going to be 2024. I mean, this is... How are you down 40 points to Trump in the primary, but also in the general, you're 17 points up on Biden? And actually, you know what? That's not too dissimilar from Bernie Sanders against Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders against Trump. Bernie was down a little bit to Hillary in the primary, but then in the general, he would beat Trump by double digits every time. This is similar to that. While the Journal poll makes Haley an overwhelming favorite against Biden, it also shows former President Trump faring well in his own right. The survey gives Trump a 4-point advantage over Biden, 47-43. It even finds that if Trump were convicted of a felony, he would still only trail Biden by a single point. Oh, my God. And DeSantis and Biden are tied at 45-45. That's interesting. So DeSantis is doing worse than Trump and Haley. Way worse than Haley. But guys, according to this poll, even if Trump is convicted, he only trails Biden by 1 point? Jesus. See, look, that's the thing. That was sort of the one argument you could always hang your hat on for the general election. That, hey, there's a decent chance Trump is going to be convicted of a crime. He has 91 criminal charges. So he's going to be found guilty of at least a few of them. But now they're saying even if he's convicted, he's only down a point. And that's at the national level. But guys, if Trump is down a point at the national level, he could still win the election with the Electoral College because it doesn't go by popular vote. And that's the thing. Like, in order for the Democrat to win, at least it was the case with Hillary and it was the case with Biden. The Democrats run up the score in the popular vote in California, where they get many millions more votes. But like Hillary won the popular vote by 3 million votes, lost the Electoral College. Biden won the popular vote by 7 million votes and won the Electoral College. But like, if the Democrat doesn't win by at least like 4 points or so, they're probably going to lose. So, in other words, Biden winning by 1 point could be a loss in the Electoral College. And they go on to say here, he has an all-time low approval rating of 37%, compared to the 61% of respondents who have an unfavorable view of the president. So look, I hate to say it, but this is definitely, right now, this is the point where I'm at. Now, look, it's subject to change if the evidence change, if Biden changes course and finds a way to make a comeback or whatever. But where I'm at right now is, man, I truly believe it's ripcord time, and I think any other Democrat would have a better chance. Now, there are some that I think are also weak candidates. I think Pete Buttigieg is a weak candidate. I think Kamala Harris is a really weak candidate. But as a candidate, I don't think you can get any weaker than Biden at this moment. I don't think you can. There was a time when that wasn't the case. There was a time where Biden was uniquely strong among Democrats. That time is not now. I mean, and I think it all fell apart because of the war in Gaza, number one. But number two, the end of the social safety net expansion that we got during COVID. Everything fell apart. It all fell apart. And so now young people are fleeing Biden at 1,000 miles an hour. Arab Americans and Muslim Americans are fleeing Biden at 1,000 miles an hour. Latino Americans, Biden only has a 4-point lead with them when he needs to win by 30 or 40 points in order to do as well as he should with that demographic. So what I don't see a comeback in the works. Now, tomorrow I'm going to do a story tomorrow about some other facts that are going to blow your mind about how poorly he's positioned at the moment. And look, the worst part is this. He's not showing any signs of life to course correct. There are no signs of life. He is not harping away on his accomplishments, things that he did that were good. He's not doing that. He's not saying, hey, here's what we're going to do for a second term that's going to improve your life. He's not doing that either. He's not harping away on the extremism of the Republicans and how they're terrible on abortion and how they're still election deniers and how Trump has 91 criminal charges. I'm not sure I've ever heard Biden say 91 criminal charges for my opponent. So if you're missing every potential strategy, if you're not even saying anything or campaigning, if you're not governing in a way that's making people like you, which he's not, how do you expect to come back and win? How are you down now in the average of polls to Trump at least 2 points? I think it's 3 or more now. And so now, look, for the Republicans, if Biden is the Democratic nominee and it's anybody else but Trump as the Republican nominee, the election is over. Like, there's no way he can beat Haley. I don't even think, even though he has it tied with DeSantis 45-45, I think DeSantis would destroy Biden in a general election when push came to shove. In fact, the only person Biden has any chance against, it's Trump. And even then, he's a massive underdog now. So, again, we'll talk more about this tomorrow, but the fact that the media is not giving Marianne Williamson a fair shake or covering her at all or interviewing her at all, the fact that they're pretending there are no challengers, they don't bring up Cenk Uygur, they don't bring up Dean Phillips, even Dean Phillips, a centrist Democrat, like Biden's a centrist, so is Dean Phillips. Oh, but, these guys are outsiders. Wrong. Dean Phillips was in Congress. He's a centrist. He's from D.C. He's still getting no coverage because they've already circled the wagons around Joe Biden, and they've decided he's the one. Florida Democrats canceled the primary, which is totally authoritarian, totally undemocratic. These are all things that are adding up, which is like, for real now, we're at the point where it's like iceberg dead ahead. Trump has a bigger lead on Biden than Trump has ever had on anybody in his political career. In other words, Trump was never up this much on Hillary Clinton. Trump was never up this much on Biden the last time around. And again, if somehow they find a way, Trump gets convicted, he has to step aside, and then any other Republican steps in, the election's over if it's against Biden. The only chance is to move past Biden. That is where we are right now. Now, maybe that's subject to change, but I don't see anything coming from the Biden administration that are signs of life, signs of adjusting. 17 points down to Nikki Haley, man. So look, we're at the point now with politics where, how do you interpret a poll like this? It's very simple. People are just looking for like back to normal, basic competence. Can you complete a sentence? And are you, I don't want to say reasonable, somewhat reasonable person, but like, are you a functioning adult? Right? Like that's where we're at. This is where the bar has dropped to. And there were times in the past, the Obama elections were change elections. We need to change. Things are crazy. We got to change. Now, Obama didn't really change it as much as people wanted, but that was a change election. 2016 was a change election. That was Donald Trump. But then we had Donald Trump for 4 years, and it was like, oh my God, this is wacky. And the Biden election in 2020 became a quote-unquote back to normal election. Well, what is this election? It looks, to me, I don't know if it's going to go the back to normal direction again or if it's going to go massive change again. But it looks like Trump would be Biden. But it also looks like Haley would be Biden. And so it's like, it's just an anti-Biden election at this point, right? Like that's the only takeaway. Is it just looks like a screw this guy election at the moment. Oh, man. And it's weird when people act like this isn't happening, right? For a while, it wasn't. There were some people who were sounding the alarm, I feel like, too early, where the evidence wasn't there yet, but now the evidence is there. It is there. So I don't know how Democrats are not panicking reading this poll. When I say Democrats, I mean the DNC, I mean White House staffers. Like, you have to see the writing's on the wall. Like, you could say the fat lady hasn't sung yet. She at least hit that first note. Her mouth is open. That note came out. So look out. This is as bad as I've ever seen it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.